Hilton in Uptown Charlotte. We welcome those also watching online. North Carolina and the Tar Heels have joined us for the next 30 minutes. We have our 3 student athletes and our head coach in Bill Belichick. Coach Belichick will offer an opening statement, and then we will, as we have done, move the microphone around the room for question and answers for our head coach and our student athletes. So, Coach Belichick, the podium is yours.
Thank you. Oh. I appreciate everybody coming out today. It's really exciting for me to be here. Start with Chancellor Roberts. He's made such a huge difference in the opportunity to come to North Carolina. Been very supportive. Has given us a great opportunity at a school that's already a great school with a great brand. And obviously, Bubba Cunningham, Steve Newmark, those guys have been great. Our alumni, Mike Lombardi and I we're into the double figures on the donor events and alumni events, things like that. And I'd say just the sport's been overwhelmingly tremendous. Not only supportive, but engaged and, very excited. We want to match that excitement and put that on the field. So, Mike and I have worked together for a long time, going all the way back to the start of Cleveland. Mike in the general manager role, myself in the head coaching role. And, we've had a lot of experience in dealing with kind of what the college football landscape is now. Similar, not the same, but similar in terms of, NIL, revenue sharing, free agency, if you will, and, recruiting, post-draft type recruiting as opposed to drafting. And so, Mike's done a great job of, it's reinforcing the roster. We have a number of players here that have been here that we're, excited to work with. We have 2 of them here, Jordan and Will. But also, we brought in a lot of players. We have 70 new players from last year, so that weren't on the roster last season. So, that's a lot of people and a lot of turnover. It's also been that way with our coaching staff. Some of the players or some of the staff members on the coaching end and on the sport end and scouting I've worked with in the past, but there are a lot of new people there. So when you combine all the scouting support and player transition into the program, it's a lot. And we're very much looking forward to getting out on the field next week and seeing it all come together. I've been super impressed with the way our players have competed. They've worked really hard. I think they're in good condition. We've hit a lot of personal. They've hit a lot of personal high marks, in whether it be strength, speed, explosion, different measurements that we've taken through the course of the training, the beginning through the end, and looking back on their career from previous training years. Like, these guys have really worked hard, and they have a lot to show for it. And so we're almost at the point where we can get out there and start putting together the chemistry, the timing, the execution, the communication, that we need to have on the field. But Mike and his scouting staff have really, between the scouting on the freshmen or the incoming recruits, the 26th class, which is already looking like that'll be a pretty positive group, and 2 transfer portals. The roster is very competitive, and I look forward to seeing how all that plays out. And everybody's got a lot of focus, obviously, on the TCU opener, which is in our sights. But really, right now, the big thing for us is just stacking good training days, one on top of another, one at a time, and being ready to go not only for the opener but for the entire regular season and the ACC schedule. So, that's our outlook. Just put good days together, take advantage of every opportunity. Don't let any days go by where we don't continue to improve, get better, and get closer to becoming the most consistent and best football team we can be when we step out on the field, and that'll hopefully continue every week. That we'll continue to improve as a team and all the way through the course of the season. So that's what we've always tried to do, and so that'll be our goals this year.
Coach, thank you. We will take questions from the room as it has been in the past. Please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with, and we'll get to as many questions in 10 minutes before our student athletes as we can. And our first question will come first row, left side, Coach, right in front.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, coming to this specific institution and developing these players off the field, why it was right for you to come to North Carolina and develop these Tar Heels?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Developing players is really what coaching is, and that's what we do. We take great pride in that, myself and our staff, and players who want to be developed. So a Carolina player is a player who wants to be a good football player, who wants to work hard, who wants to make a commitment towards improving on a regular basis, both training and team execution on the field. And so when we get those players, we see a lot of improvement, a lot of development, and that's going back, what was it, Cleveland, where Mike and I put together an offensive line where, 4 of the 5 stars are free agents, or at New England where we had a number of, low draft choices, or high draft choices, I should say. I say Brady and Edelman, players like that, who turned out to be great players, as well as some of the other players, are higher picks that developed, like Gronkowski. And so forth. So development's a big part for us, and players that want to come in, work hard, be good players, learn and compete. Competition is what makes us all better. Again, the best competition for me, I learned the most from, going against, great offensive coaches like, Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, Joe Gibbs, and all those guys that I competed against. That's what made me great as a coach. Or made me work the hardest as a coach, was to compete against those people. And so same thing for the players. Internal competition, the competition we have daily on the field, will get us most ready for the competition that we'll face on Saturdays or whenever the games are. So thank you.
Coach, right side, 5th row, hard to the right side.
Hard right.
Standing up now.
Yes.
Hey, Coach. Thomas Christopher of the League Winners. I have a 2-part roster building and general football question for you. Do you believe that the evolution of the fullback position, kind of being turned more into an H-back role, was more due to roster flexibility and player versatility? And with the cyclical nature of football, do you see that position kind of being revitalized now that defenses are more finesse-driven?
Well, hopefully we won't be in the finesse-driven category. We're certainly not shooting for that. But yeah, thanks for the question. The fullback question is an interesting question. It really, I think, picked up a lot of momentum when Coach Coryell started with that, and then Joe Gibbs brought it to Washington and ran a one-back offense with Riggins and those guys, all the backs he had there. They kind of rotated them through, George Rogers, all those guys, and then that they caught on definitely throughout the NFL. And at the Giants, we faced that twice a year, and so pretty familiar with the way that one-back offense evolved. And now as offenses have gotten into more spread formations, whereas a lot of 11 personnel and almost all college defenses and pro defenses for that matter are nickel-based, with maybe a 6th defensive back in passing situations, but most everybody's playing 5 defensive backs. I think that reflects on the lack of a fullback, and even in 12 personnel, where usually one of the tight ends is a receiving tight end. So how that trend will continue, I don't know. I'd say for us, we'll do what we feel like is best for the football team, like we always do, and just see how that plays out. But it's been an interesting evolution that's gone from everything being all 2-back. I remember when I first started with the Colts, we went through all the defensive adjustments, that there was always one little box in the very bottom of the corner, or bottom corner of the page, that had a 1-back set on. Everything else was in 2 backs, whether it was brown, blue, black, green, depending on where the backs were set. There were different color codes for the formations, and there was one box for the 1-back sets, and now there's no 2-back sets. So yeah, that's been an evolution.
Coach, left side, towards the left. Sir, if you'll
Left side towards the left. Got it.
Left side.
Hey, Coach, this is Grayson Mann with TigerNet.com. Talking to Dabo Sweeney earlier, you said how much he's learned from you since you've made this move to North Carolina. How has your relationship with him grown, as well as the other coaches within the ACC?
Yeah, we're all learning from Dabo. That's very, very nice of him to say that, very complimentary. Dabo's been a friend for a long time. We've scouted his players from the NFL down. Some of the players that are here today, I actually thought, well, maybe we'll be drafting one of these guys. And now here we are going to be playing against them. So, but Dabo's been great. I have so much respect for him, the Clemson program, what he's done, the way he runs it. It's high quality. Kids are high quality. He came up to New England, got probably the top player out of New England, in the last probably decade. Christian Wilkins out of Springfield, Suffield Academy, and I think that says a lot for the program that he runs, and what he's done for not only college football but all the student athletes that he's coached there. They've gone on to represent him and the school very well, and again, I have a ton of respect for Dabo and what he's done. Great opportunity to spend some time with him at the ACC coaches meetings, and it's always been a really enjoyable guy to be around. I don't know if that'll be true on Saturday afternoon, probably not, but at least in these meetings it is. Yeah.
Coach, right side, third row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Coach, one of the biggest differences between the pro game and college game is you're dealing with 18 to 23, 24-year-olds as opposed to full-grown men with families and whatnot. And with an offseason that's seen a little bit of controversy and all that type of stuff, how have you ushered them through blocking the noise and keeping the main thing the main thing?
Yeah, well, the great thing about working with the college players is just the growth and the development that I've seen with them. I saw a little bit of that last year when I was at Washington with Coach Fish and Steve out there to see how much the players improved from the spring until the start of training camp. And this year, of course, we haven't started training camp yet, but through the course of the spring, the amount of improvement that our players made in those 15 days, most of which were in pads, is something that you never saw in the NFL because we never, could wear pads in the off season. And so how much better the players got in their fundamentals, their footwork, their hand placement, leverage, tackling, so forth, all the physicality things that come with different positions, whether that's press release, jams, and so forth. The improvement was tremendous. And so I'd say on the college end, you're right, the players are a little bit younger and less skilled. Sometimes that's an advantage. There are fewer bad habits to break. But I would say also the players are, I'd say, much more receptive to the coaching. They haven't had as long with the way that they were doing it, through a college career, maybe even through some pro years, where they were, started to develop some habits that they were comfortable with, and they were a little harder to change. I'd say, with our players, they've been very receptive to everything we've asked them to do. They've trained extremely hard. As I said, the personal achievements between their strength, their speed, their explosiveness, all the different body fat percentages, all different things that we measure is, in the high 90% range. There's only a couple guys that haven't, had the improvement, but really it's been pretty much the whole team. So that's been, as a coach, it's fun. It's fun to see players get better, and then that gives them more momentum to keep working. I know we've given the players a couple of weeks off, in the training cycle from time to time, and in a lot of cases they come back even a little bit further ahead of where they were when they left, which kind of indicates they continue to work hard in their training. So, we're excited to see how all that manifests itself out on the field when we actually start playing football. But I think we'll be ready to start when we get going next week. No, thank you.
Coach, thanks for the time. You can switch spots with Thad Dixon, and we will talk to our defensive back for 5 or 6 minutes before we finish out with Will and with Jordan. Folks, if you would, please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with, and we'll get to as many questions with Thad as we can. Thad, your first question will come to the right on the second row.
Thad, Michael Code, WCHL, chapelboro.com. Thanks for your time today. You're obviously no stranger to big games. You played in the college football playoff when you were at UW. What can you tell some of the players that are less experienced with that kind of stage, just how different the game is? Because the TCU game, week 1, national TV, primetime, there's going to be a lot of people watching that game.
Yeah, the main thing I could tell the young guys is that it's just the same game. Football is going to be football. No matter how big the stage is, you still got to go out there and play. So I would just tell the young guys, man, don't look at it no different than what it is. I mean, it's just another game. You got to go out there and perform.
Thad, your next question, left side of the room, will be just about in the middle.
Owen Hillman, WVFS Tallahassee. You're going into a system now which is you're getting hired by Bill Belichick, which is he's coached several amazing quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. How is it being a part of that system at North Carolina?
It's special. It's been a lot of great cornerbacks that, Coach Belichick has coached, dudes like Ty Law, Darrell Reeves. So, to just try and be a part of that pedigree and, it's honestly special, man. It's something that I look forward to every day, just getting better every day. And, hopefully, my name could be with those guys' names.
Thad, stay on that row, just a couple of people down. Sir, if you'll please stand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Skip Foreman with the News and Record of Greensboro and the Winston-Salem Journal. What have you learned about yourself in this particular training session as it relates to an former NFL coach getting you to the point where you want to be? How much better do you think you've gotten in this period of time?
Man, I've gotten a lot better. The main thing really just my attention to detail. My attention to detail on little stuff, just taking everything serious as far as like stretching, taking care of my body, eating, lifting weights hard, stuff like that. Really just keying in on all the small details to, propel my game to the next level.
Thad, still on that same row.
Billy Ray Mitchell, Sons of Saturday. You have to be answering a million questions about your coach and his personality, and there's a lot known about his personality. But can you tell me a little bit about the personality of the Tar Heels and of your team and what we can expect out of the Tar Heels this year?
Yeah, you can expect a tough, smart, dependable team, a team that communicates a lot, a team that's well put together, well driven, a team with a chip on their shoulder. Honestly, everybody got something to prove. Everybody's trying to get somewhere. So, that's what you can expect out of us.
That first row, just to your right.
Nathan Lauer with the Hill Brothers. Thaddeus, you're a guy that's played in some really big games in your career over there at UW, and now you bring all that experience over to North Carolina. Going into a DB room that has been listed as questionable over the last few years, what is your message to them on heightening the production and getting the best out of each player in that room?
It starts every day, just attacking each day, trying to go 1-0 every day. You can't make plays on Saturdays until you make plays in the offseason, working hard. So, I just tell guys, keep the main thing. Everybody strive every day, try and get better. And then on Saturdays, everything's going to take care of itself. It's football.
We're going to go back to the front row to the left this time.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what it's like working with defensive coordinator Steve Belichick and what you've taken away from his leadership so far.
Man, I've taken a lot. I've built a very close relationship with Coach Steve. He's been with me pretty much every step of the way, going back to last year when he first touched down at Washington. Being able to learn from a guy like that who has so much football knowledge and so much knowledge of the game and scheme and stuff like that, I feel like it's really like propelling my game to the next level as far as just understanding the game and other offensive coordinators and kind of like, just the ins and outs of the defense.
Thad, your last question will come to the right, hard right, fifth row.
Thomas Christopher from the League Winners. Can you talk about the importance of disrupting a receiver on their stem and what you're looking to do at the top of the route to turn some of those pass deflections into more turnovers this season?
Yeah, so, it's football. Offense, everything's about timing. So just being able to disrupt timing, it could be a slight, half a second, the quarterback's going to come off the read. So just being able to disrupt timing and, not really see some of the balls that I'm seeing. And then, the balls that I do see, we got to go intercept them.
Thad, thank you. You and Will can switch spots. We've got 5 minutes or so with our DB. Even if you've asked a question, please reintroduce yourselves to our student athletes. That would be great. We will go first question, Will, to the right side, first row.
Nathan Lauer with the Hill Brothers. Will, you've been on this team for a number of seasons now. You've seen the ups and downs. What is it for you as a guy who's been with this team for a while to see Bill Belichick come in and be your head coach, and how the aura of the team and the mindset of the team has changed over the last 7-8 months now?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of new this year. I'm sort of excited for the new change, the new spark, new energy that this season's bringing to to the team, to the players on the team that stayed, but also just to the whole fan base and the community of Chapel Hill. I think everyone's looking forward to it. I'm no different. I know all the players on the team that were here last year are excited for this new change. When we got the news that Coach Belichick was going to be our new coach, we were all pumped for it. Shocked at first, but ready to get to work, and that's exactly what we've been doing.
Will, right side, about the sixth row, hard to the right.
Braden Blackwell, Observer News. We're obviously in this new era of college football where the transfer portal is ever prominent. UNC was one of the teams that was more active this year. So being a guy who stayed, what has been your role in keeping these guys, or getting these guys used to the life at Chapel Hill and getting them accustomed to Tar Heel culture?
Yeah, like you said, we've got a lot of new players on this team, and that's just because we brought in a ton of new guys that have a lot of talent. And so anytime there's change, it's good, especially in this day and age. And so as a leader on the team that's been here, it's sort of one of my roles to get everyone established, learn everybody's names, but also just learn everything about these guys and really create a team chemistry that can go win on Saturdays. It's hard to play successful football when you got a bunch of individuals out there playing for themselves. And so this summer and this fall, and our mindset is how can we, play successful, play fast, but play together so that we can, have success on the field.
Keep the attention right there, the gentleman right in front of him.
Brandon Pockers with the league winners, kind of building upon that. What's been your leadership style over the spring, over the summer, now heading into fall camp? And how are you getting the rest of your defensive unit ready to hit the ground running in the 2025 season?
Yeah, we've got a competitive group of guys, especially in the defensive back room. So everyone wants to, improve themselves and just build the unit. And so as a leader for that unit, it's been important for me to be an encourager. We have some hard days, maybe some days where we didn't practice as well as we wanted to, or some hard workouts that are tough to get through. And so being a guy that people can know that they'll get some encouragement from is important for me. I think leadership, it'll come in all shapes and sizes, but being someone that people can count on and can trust, that's important for me.
Will, left side, about the sixth row, center of the room.
Skip Foreman, News and Record of Greensboro, Winston-Salem Journal. Defense was a spotlight for not the best of reasons last year. What have you learned in the time you've trained leading up to this season that would lead you to believe you're going to be a better defense in 2025?
Yeah, and new coaching staff with a great scheme and great new players, which is very exciting. But the thing about defense and football in general is you need all 11 playing on the same page. One guy messes up and an explosive can happen. So building that team chemistry and really holding each other accountable through practices and everything, that's important. That's on the top of our minds, playing all together, all 11. So that'll help us this year.
Will, we'll go back to the front row just to your left.
Will, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. That development off the field from Bill Belichick and the coaching staff, just to speak to that. On the field, obviously there's a lot that's going to happen, but off the field, building into a stronger young man in society, just what you could say to that.
Yeah, Coach Belichick has brought in multiple guys, former players, to talk to us just about what else is there outside of just football. It takes a lot to be a great football player, and that's not just on the field stuff. That's nutrition, that's sleep, that is recovery. And so when you pour all this into football, man, anytime we're all going to end football at some point, and so how can you pour all that investment into something else? Whether you're a dad, whether you're a spouse, whatever it is, how can you pour everything into a relationship? And so we've learned that. He's brought in many guys, former players, to come and speak on that.
Will, thank you. You and Jordan can now trade places, and we will finish out our time with North Carolina with our wide receiver. Lots of hands in the air, so what we'll do is we will slide to the right, hard right, first row, right here in front of me, Jordan.
Jordan, what's up? QCB, Fox Sports Radio, Charlotte. I'm from Charlotte, so I know about your dad, Steve Shipp, and how he became one of the top receivers in the country. And I want to know what advice, one piece of advice that stuck out with you that he gave you when you landed in Chapel Hill two years ago. And also, I know that your nickname growing up was Duke. And as a Tar Heel right now, is your nickname still Duke?
First, I just want to start off by giving the praise and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be here. So I just want to start off with that. And then he might call me that here and there, off the record, here and there. But like you said, man, the biggest advice that he gave me was, where would you go if you couldn't play football anymore? That was the biggest thing he said to me. It was like, where would you go if football was taken from you? You're comfortable with the school. If distance plays into it, just anything like that. And another thing that like drove me was just wanting to be better than him. I always grew up just kind of like in his shadows a little bit. And it was always like important to me to kind of like overcome that. So I feel like that's something that motivated me day in and day out. Just want to be better than him and just want to have my own name. Because a lot of times when people say Ship, they're talking about my dad. But now I feel like I've kind of swapped that narrative and I'm being able to kind of like put myself over and just being able to work hard just to try and like surpass him.
So Jordan, we'll stay on the right side, second row, please.
Jordan, Michael Coe, WCHL, chapelboro.com. During the offseason, Kobe Paysour initially entered the transfer portal, but he took his name back out. Now he's with you guys.
Yeah.
How big was it to retain him, not just from a skill perspective, but from a leadership perspective?
Yeah, we have a young receiver room, and Kobe brings experience. Kobe's a great player. Kobe's a great friend. I feel like that's something that gets overlooked. When you're in a room, you just want to be surrounded around great people. And Kobe's a great guy. Kobe's a great person. Kobe's somebody that I know I can rely on off the field and on the field as well. And I personally, Kobe, JJ, and Nate last year, they really took me under their wing and kind of like just helped me mold me into like the athlete, like the college athlete I wanted to be, and kind of like set the foundation for me. So just being able to still have him, still be able to like look up to him and kind of shadow him a little bit is definitely important.
Left side, right in front of you, first row.
Joe Bombo, Athlon Sports. Jordan, you went from one Hall of Fame coach and Coach Greer now to Coach Belichick. What type of conversations have you had with Coach Greer about advice going on to Coach Belichick? And two, has there ever been any conversations about bringing your former quarterback in Jada in Carolina Blue?
Definitely. I talk to Coach Greer a lot. Coach Greer is a huge reason why I'm here. Coach Greer poured into me, his family, Miss Nyla, Will Greer, all the Greers, they all poured into me a lot. So, I talk to Coach a lot, and a lot of the conversations that I've had with Coach Greer in high school is kind of similar to what Coach Belichick brings. He wants us to be tough, smart, dependable, and Coach Greer kind of echoed that same thing when we were in high school, and I feel like that's why we were so good at such a high level high school program, because of like the way he carried himself and the things that he poured into us, yeah, I just feel like Coach Greer is like a great coach, but then you look at Coach B and he just takes that to a whole nother level. You're going to be tough, smart, dependable. You're going to be disciplined, and we're going to do everything right. We're going to play to his standard, and that standard's not going to drop it off for nobody. If you can't obtain it, just go ahead and get out the way. Next guy up.
Jordan, right side, first row.
Nathan with the Hill Brothers. First off, Ship, love the shoes, by the way, brother.
Appreciate it.
But also, I want to talk to you about Freddie Kitchens, the guy that was in the tight end room over the last couple of seasons. Now he comes over to offensive coordinator. Talk about some of the things that he's brought as a coordinator to you guys, and some of the strategies that he's got for you guys.
We're definitely going to be unique offense. Don't want to give too much out, but we're going to be unique. We're going to do a lot of different stuff, and we're going to get a lot of first downs. We're going to score a lot of points. And Coach Kidd, and like I said, with Coach Belichick, he kept him here for a reason. So obviously he liked what he was doing. So there's no reason not to trust him 100%. But like I said, we're going to be unique. We're going to move the ball. We're going to do different things with different personnels and a lot of different people.
North Carolina, thank you. Good luck this season, and enjoy the rest of your stay in Charlotte. Folks, NC State will round us.